Today's guest is Kavindya Thennakoon. She's the co-founder of Tilly, a play-based learning platform that's reached over 15,000 children across the world and sits in UNICEF's innovation portfolio. She's a Knight Hennessy Scholar doing her PhD at Stanford, and she used to be a learning researcher at Google for Education. She was also losing 2 hours a day to 3 inboxes. So she built something. Here's how.
Hey, Kavi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm super excited for this. So, anybody who's watching, so Kavi, one of my best friends, we're gonna like jump into sort of exploring how she uses AI. So, obviously, you'll get some information about Kavi's profile in the description, and we're gonna like dive straight into it. So, the idea here is that Kavi is a really busy person. Like she does a PhD at Stanford. She also runs Tilly and bunch of other things. So to do that, it's super hard as a person. So as far as I know, she's one of the best people who leverages AI to 10x herself. So I'm quite interested in understanding how she uses AI, and I think like we can learn a few more things with her hacks, tools, and sort of like these different things that she made for to like make her life easier. How we doing a show how you use AI for your day-to-day work? I'm like super keen to understand your workflows.
Amazing. Also, you said earlier that I'm one of the most organized people you know. So I just want to make sure you say that on record as well.
100%, like, yeah.
Awesome. So I think before I start, also you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So I think before I start, I have to caveat that I'm not a technical person. Like I didn't know what an MCP was. I don't code. So I think I'm making this more for someone like me who is not a tech person, but trying to see how they can integrate tools. So I think the first one I wanted to talk about was, I think one of my favorite use cases was inbox management or email management, because this was something that I spend a lot of time on. I forgot to follow up with people. I lose a lot of opportunities. I lose like friendships because I like forget to respond to an email. My advisor isn't happy because I sometimes forget to meet deadlines. So I wanted something that will organize both my Google Calendar and my inbox. But so maybe I'll walk you through sort of how I thought about the problem,
Yeah.
because I think one of my biggest learnings, I think I try to think about the most important things I've learned, kind of integrating AI into workflows. I think one is that if you're a disorganized person, the output from whatever LLM you use is going to be disorganized. And I just feel like if your process is subpar, even if you make a routine on Claude or whatever tool you use, I think it's still going to be subpar until, it takes a few weeks or so to self-learn. So, which is why I think it's so important to first document your own process, what is working, what's not working, what are the tools you're using before you actually dive into building something or integrating AI. So I think this is kind of my big reflection over the past, I guess, year. So what I thought about was, I think mostly inspired by you, because anytime I tell you about things that annoy me, you're like, Kavi, like build an agent, like build a workflow. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, let me do this. So I think I first thought about, I looked at my calendar and I thought I like time box everything. So I know how much hours I spend in a given day. And I realized I keep coming back to email issues. Sometimes I'm on the phone during dinner, responding to an email. Usually I spend about 2 hours daily at minimum on emails and most importantly, follow-ups. And the big problem here was I had 3 inboxes. So I had things coming from my Tilly email, my Stanford email, and LinkedIn. And I also had a bunch of newsletters I sign up for that I never read, that just gets cluttered. So I think the big reflection was I was spending too much time on this and I wanted to clean it up. And the first thing I did was I actually wrote down my current workflow. Like, how does Kavi in a week manage my inbox at the moment? So I think one of the things was I looked at how I was doing this for a week. So Monday to Friday, I kind of reflected on it. I wrote down my process. I listed sort of what was not working. And thirdly, I figured out like what were my boundaries? Because I love writing to people. I love communicating with people. So what were those boundaries? Did I want like AI to kind of take over my inbox or not? Where were those boundaries? And I think the fourth and fifth point was I really thought of it as I was kind of onboarding an executive assistant. And how would I train that EA? How would I make like an onboarding doc for that EA on managing my inbox? Um, and then I only added more things as the current process got boring. So I didn't try to do everything in a given day. So I feel like these were sort of the six things I kind of why it's working so well right now is because I did that homework before.
Did you try anything beyond Claude, like before you settle down on Claude?
Yeah, so um these are all like previous employers. I did try like Google workflows before.
Yeah,
And I think what wasn't working was I also had LinkedIn and I had like calendar. So I needed something that was looking at my context.
gotcha.
So I did try that. I don't think I tried any other tools. I think it was mainly Claude that I kind of ended up with afterwards.
Gotcha. Did you try open a like ChatGPT kind of version by any chance?
I think I didn't only because I don't know about it as
Fair
much.
enough. Okay. Yeah.
So maybe there are other tools that could do what I've done with Claude differently or better. Um, so
Yeah, they
maybe I'm kind of thinking about this as a workflow that you can just
because
easily.
they do like a one-on-one mirror sort of like services they provide. I think like that would be
Oh.
interesting. Like anybody who's listening in, like to try like the same thing with OpenAI stack as well, be quite interesting. But Claude is amazing. It's been quite useful for me as well. But yeah, like yeah.
Have you tried? I think for me, what has been difficult is integrating like Outlook, mostly because it's Stanford and it's very secure, so there are certain things you can and cannot do. But I'm wondering, like, has it been easy to integrate like many Gmail accounts, for example?
Yeah, it's been like quite hard. I think like so whenever I have to like go beyond like a single integration with Claude, etc., I had to like do some hacks. Like I remember you like mentioned about this, like I'll let you talk about it. So for me, like what I have done is like I have an Hermes agent that has
Yeah.
access to my all of my Gmail accounts, and you can sort of like set it up like with Gmail auth, and then it can sort of like read and understand what's in there. Even for Outlook, so sometimes I had to like I work with like different organizations, which I can't necessarily sort of like wire in an AI, but there are ways around it that you can do it where you can sort of like plug in some sort of a cloud integration that can sort of like do CLI based integration where you can read through Outlook. But these are all like extra steps. There's no natural integration because
Right.
at the end of the day, unless the organization allows you to do that, like it's like super hard to do something.
Yeah,
But for your personal stuff, you can build something like
exactly.
in some way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is very much for like personal emails because
Yeah.
there's a lot of like privacy concerns if you're a part of an organization.
Yeah.
Um, I think the few things that makes this a little difficult beyond just saying automate my email and then connecting your email is the voice. Because I think we all have very unique ways of writing. And I consider like I love writing to people. I love writing. I love like communicating and writing to people. So I wanted that preserved. But to not have to spend so much time and forget and things like that. Um, so I think generally I had to list out the different jobs within email management. I didn't even realize this. I think it's only after I listed it out I realized, oh my God, email management is like a job. Like there are so many steps to it. So I
Yeah.
think first it had to learn my voice, then it had to do this triaging of who had to be replied, what was a newsletter, what was something I had to follow up. So kind of dividing things up. The third was organizing. Like it's like a filing system, right? So you have to remove spam, you have to like organize newsletters. So there was this organization of this messy filing system I had. And then it had to kind of draft these replies. So mine is it doesn't send replies, it only saves it in my draft. So every morning around 8 a.m. when I log back, it's already like beautifully drafted. Um, and then there was a follow-up system because you send an email, let's say to a partner, and you got a reply saying, hey, like I'm on holiday, I'll be back in 2 weeks, and I
Mm.
forget that. So I needed the email assistant to have kind of this follow-up tracker of who did I need to nudge? Who did I need to follow up the third time or fourth time? And then I needed it to make like a nice report that I could read on a Monday morning, Tuesday morning, so on, to figure out what I had to do. So that was the next step of like breaking this down. And at this point, like no AI was involved, even at this point, because that was me just reflecting on my own process so far.
Amazing. So yeah, I think like that's an interesting point. I think like this is like, I guess in a way sort of like workflow mapping and then context engineering before you actually jump into implementing something. I think like this is like the same way if I have to like build a system for a business process, like I would take
Yeah.
the approach because yeah, it's important that you get your thinking straight and you figure out like all the components, especially the moving parts that sort of contributes to the results. And this is like
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, of course, like you could connect your email and then ask Claude or whatever LLM you use to say, hey, can you give me a sense of what process I've been using? Like give me a sense of where I'm at, and then kind of working from there is also an option. If this is not, I have like a OCD brain, so I generally think about it like this. But if you're like a normal person, you could also use Claude as a way to kind of think through it as well.
Right.
Um, yeah. Um, I think I'll skip through some of this. I'll talk more to it as I go through. So the routine right now is it usually it doesn't run at 7 because I don't wake up at 7. I noticed later on because I
Okay.
need to, yeah,
Yeah, just a quick question there. Like, so the
yeah,
routines, I think like, so anybody who's listening in, like, would love to sort of like understand, is this something within Claude that you run? Like, what is a
right.
routine? Like, would love to
Yeah.
understand, like, what is a routine is.
Maybe let me just like split the screen and actually show because that'll make more sense. So this, you typically, if you are somebody who uses Claude, you have chat, you have Cowork, and you have code. So routines typically sits under the code section.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can tell me the technical terms of these. But so here you'll see new session and you have this option called routines. So this is where I built all of this, and routines is very interesting because this is something, so for example, if I go in and let's say I want to create a new routine, mine is always run locally. I don't know, is there a difference if you run it on cloud versus local?
Yes, it's a good point. So especially like, I mean, so if you run it locally, so Cowork also has this very similar approach,
Yeah.
I think schedules. So all of these, Cowork definitely runs locally, and with routines, Cloud Code, you have two options: run it in locally or in the cloud. So
Yeah.
if your computer runs, this runs, but for some reason, if your computer switched off, it doesn't run if it's a local one. So that means I would
Oh,
wait for you to like switch it on. So for example, if you want it to run like even if the computer is switched off, you run it on cloud, so it will ideally run on either GitHub, CI/CD, or so
oh,
like whatever the server that you pointed to. And that's going to give you like, yeah, some flexibility, especially when you want to run this without having your computer switched on. That's the difference. Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so I didn't know that. So this is for me local. So I think that's the problem. I need to open up my laptop.
Yeah.
And a big thing I figured out was I was traveling for 3 days and then there was this backlog. So then I had to improve the routine to say, hey, if there's a backlog, you need to kind of do the work you missed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so typically it sits here. Mine is local. And let's say email. I'm just gonna say Aki demo. Um, Showing my inbox. Um, and typically the instructions go here. And what I did was I also created sort of like a little prompt that folks can use if you want to do this. And I'll kind of paste it here. You can select a folder. And then the reason why we call it a routine is you can pick how often you need something run. So
Yeah.
with my email, it's set to daily at I think 7 a.m. because typically I try to start my day at like 8:30-ish.
Right.
Um, and you could do weekdays, you could do it custom. So I think that's why we call it routines, and this is sort of where it sits. And it's basically the prompt just goes here. And that's pretty much it.
Amazing. For your prompt, like how do you normally create a prompt? Like quite interested to understand that. Do you brainstorm
Yeah.
out? Like you look at some templates? Like what's your approach for that?
Yeah, I think with this email project, as I was telling you, I was writing on a Google Doc, like outlining my process and all of that. So I'll actually show you at the end. So this I just so you can see, so this is my actual routine. So you can see kind of it's very recent. It was in June, so it's now like a nice month of doing it.
Yeah.
And I think it's only this week that I didn't have to adjust my drafts.
Yeah.
So I think it's really a process of even improving your own process as you work with it. So this is when how you see how it's running every day. And each day you can actually click on it and you'll get kind of your report. Um,
Do you send the message somewhere, or like do you come here to check in the morning?
Say that again.
The analysis that is being done, do you send it across to your email, or do you come here to check it?
No, I actually come here and check
Okay.
it. But that'd be really cool if I can kind of send it to my inbox,
Yeah,
which I think it can do.
I think like if you do the right integration, I think like for example, emails and then Slack, you can like WhatsApp, maybe not sure, but like
Yeah.
you'd like add it to the integration. But yeah, that's the
Oh,
probably next
interesting.
iteration of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's so many things that, the LinkedIn piece is not working well. And WhatsApp, obviously, it's like
Yeah, it's a
so
whole other
good.
beast. Yeah, I hear you. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, so there's like lots of things to improve, of course. So this is kind of what the report looks like. So it'll show you what was left in the inbox, for example, like drive share requests and things like that, any internal threads, and then I just log into my email and look at the drafts and just send it out.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
does this routine do the drafts as well? Is it like a separate routine?
No, this will do the drafts as well. So
Okay.
if I go up,
Yeah.
so these are all the newsletters it has filed.
Okay.
So I have a filing system for my newsletters, which I told it to do. So I say if it's a news,
Wow.
label it under news. So it reads it and it puts it under news so that when I'm going in the bus or something like that, I can just go in and
Yeah.
read it.
Gotcha.
Uh, and then I'm not going to go up because I have all my emails in it. So it'll show you what it has drafted.
I hear you. Yeah.
Because now everybody's going to be like, oh, that email you sent me wasn't you. Um, yeah, so that's generally how it works. So every day you can kind of go in and read the report. Um, yeah. And so the prompt, let me actually show you because I tried to kind of look at what my prompt was. So this is sort of the design of what the prompt looks like now, but that's not really where it started. So it has like certain skills, like I've built a skill for my voice, so I fed a lot of emails I had already written. So it learns from sort of what we actually send, looks at like any missing runs. So did I not switch on the computer on Saturday and Sunday? It'll kind of rerun it. So it's divided into steps. So this is like the full prompt of what it is like now. So 8 steps, and then finally it'll summarize the report for me. Yeah. So this is sort of
Nice. Do you try Cowork by any chance, or do you just jump into Claude Code straight away?
yeah, so I think it was was not enabled for some reason in June.
Could be like yeah, could be.
Like it was not run. Yeah, there was something.
And like
So
now if you like so I see you need to like update the
yes,
application.
I need to, but now I can use it.
Yeah, so when you update it, like you
Uh,
can like lose chat as well. They've done like a UI change. So yeah,
oh, so it doesn't look like this anymore.
it's slightly different, but you'll have Cowork, and I think yeah, you'll have Cowork and Code. I think maybe not chat.
Okay,
Yeah, but it is the same. Yeah.
nice. Um, so yeah, I haven't jumped into Cowork yet, but what's the difference between Cowork and Code?
Yeah, so I think I mean all of these three things like would like chat, Cowork, Code has like things in the background that's running. So what
Yeah,
Code is doing pretty much is like to like generate code to get things done. So obviously to call MCPs, things like that, and like do these kind of like file read, all kinds of stuff. We'll do that.
yeah,
But Cloud Code is quite, I would say, focused on generating code to get things done, like we're writing scripts, etc. So that's the main
Yes.
focus. Where Cowork is just like an application. Right now, they have like packaged Claude Code within this application, but generally Claude Code you can run it in the terminal. You can run it on as
Oh,
extension on your like VS Code, Cursor, like different places. So because of that, it is quite versatile. You can like plug and play that anywhere. Where Cowork is pretty much tied to this application. You can't like use it elsewhere. And
okay.
there are some nuances around like how it approaches. Like you wouldn't see a lot of information on how it's like doing the task. Where Cloud Code will give you a lot of like explanation on like the process, the files that get edited, etc. And yeah, I think like I would say Cowork is built for somebody who doesn't want to deal with code and you want to run like a desktop application, where Cloud Code is somebody who's technical, but also like somebody who's non-technical who want to like wouldn't mind necessarily working with code directly. So Cloud Code is coding agent, where Cowork is like
Yeah.
a PM automation tool. But both of them have like in the background this coding agent that runs. So the level of information that you see and the portability of it is what is different. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So generally, I would say if somebody is like very not tech savvy, you start with Cowork.
I feel like yeah, so they it's built in a way like to abstract away some of the complexities.
Right.
I mean, it's like a similar logic that runs behind. Like it's not much of a difference. There are some like nuances around. Like for example, if you use the Claude Chat, there's a limitation on the number of files you can upload, like around 20 files per
Yeah.
conversation. Claude Cowork doesn't have a file limit. As long as it doesn't hit the context window, you can actually add any number of files. So stuff like this is quite useful for you to like handle large amounts of data. So I've seen people use it, and yeah, you have like you run it from like a project folder as well. So it's quite interesting. So right now, like when you use Claude Code within the app, PS it enforces you to find a like a place. But if you run Claude Code from a terminal, it really doesn't matter. You can run it from anywhere. Like you don't need a specific
Just
place. Yeah. So
here.
yeah. And the other thing is like I don't know if you've tried this for Claude Code, you can off like get it to a remote control version. What that means is like you can have your computer running and do command call slash remote control, and it's going to give you a
Okay.
URL that gives access to your computer. And on the phone, you can sort of run commands, run like different kinds of operations while you're on the go. So this acts as a server, and Claude Code runs in the background. As long as you don't switch it off, that's quite useful for me. Like
Fine.
if I need to like edit stuff on my computer, if I need to send a PR,
Yeah.
I can run it on my computer while I offload the control to my mobile. So stuff like that, even like your smartwatch.
So
Yeah.
you can just like do things remotely.
Yeah, exactly. So Cowork doesn't have that. Cloud Code have these kind of like flexibility. Yeah.
And also the skills, I guess, move across all of these.
Oh,
So because I
100%.
see like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's connected. The skills are like added at the account level. So that means you can sort of access them across. So it's quite useful.
Oh, interesting. Very cool. Um, yeah, I think the other big thing is like the skills is something I've really liked. Like to keep training a skill like things like your voice, your writing style. I think skills are really good at like holding that context so that you don't have to keep telling
Yeah.
them to write like you every single time. Um,
100%. Like, I think like for somebody who doesn't know, like, would you mind explaining what a skill is from your point of view and like sort of like how you think about skills would be quite useful. And how you
yeah,
like actually create a skill as well. That's like the other part.
yeah. So I think for example, if I so it's basically this like slash um ic sign icon.
Yeah.
So here you can see all the amount of like different skills I have.
Yeah.
So basically, let's say if I want to create a skill called Kavi presentation designer. So I can basically say create a new skill to build presentations that mimic my style. So essentially that's all you do to create a new skill. I think the trick of that is you need to keep like improving that skill.
100%.
I mean, typically the prompt will be much longer. So, for example, for my email assistant, I picked up a lot of different emails and essays that I had written, and I fed that in so it captures, for example, if I show you here, for example, this is what the AI used to draft. It'll say, "I'm delighted to connect. This feels like such a natural fit."
Yeah.
But the only thing I would say is I'm so happy to connect. Or like they'll say, "Oh, a meaningful part of our early journey." I would be like, "I loved it." So it kind of captures how you talk.
Essence of me,
Um,
like, yeah, and capture
yeah, like what you
skill.
care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also different ways in which you talk to people. For example, how I would talk to a peer is very different to how I would talk to like a professor of mine.
Yeah.
So kind of capturing that context-specific ways in which you address people and all of that.
Yeah.
So that's what the skill really does.
Gotcha.
That it's able to keep learning.
Yeah.
And my routine is also designed in a way that if I edit a draft that Claude made and I sent it, it
Hmm.
will look at the difference between what it drafted and what I sent and learn and improve the skill.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I've kind of added that as a line to the routine.
Wow, that's quite interesting. So there's like other skills like self-improving. Is that
Yeah,
like, wow,
I mean, I hope so.
it is
Um, I think it is, which is why I've seen like a lot of improvements.
amazing.
Um, So, for example, the last line of the routine is to say, "Hey, what have you learned today?" and update my email assistant skill based on what you learned today. Um,
Amazing. I feel like you're bringing in your sort of like the learning theory
right.
AI like to actually like train the AI. So I wouldn't have
Yeah.
it. So it's quite nice, like where you sort of like reinforces the learnings and like whatever the information that's gathered from that task and like how you sort of
Yeah.
like do the full circle. But yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, I think yeah, this is super cool. And I think like like the other part like I'll touch upon it like so like Claude has a meta skill. I don't know if you have seen that. So if you go to like uh click plus one, like the plus mark.
Yeah.
No, the one just below that. Sorry.
Oh,
The
oh, never mind.
the button, yeah, yeah. So we go to skills and then go to manage skills. So you scroll up a bit.
Browse.
No, I think you can scroll it. It's at the bottom normally. So last one, called skill creator, last item.
Yeah.
So this is like a meta skill. So this is how Claude
Oh,
sort of creates skills.
that's so interesting. Okay.
So you could like explore that, like so to understand how Claude thinks about creating skills. And at the end of the day, skill is pretty much like a README file, right? README file
Yeah.
plus like some information and like different kinds of components, like images, like scripts if needed. And yeah, so this is like a really good skill to look and understand like how skills are created and to understand what sort of information is there. But yeah, so that's the other point I want to highlight there.
Yeah, I wish I had that because now I can feed this and be like, "Oh, can you
Yeah, so you can actually like do a slash skill create and then it will use that skill when you start creating a skill. And I think like it'll be much more directed. But I'm assuming like when you ask to create a skill, like it will load the skill automatically because it knows that this
yeah,
is a skill creation task and Claude is smart enough to actually figure out. You don't have to
do
necessarily.
this?"
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
but it's
I
like
think this is the optimization loop, right?
oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I didn't know this was a thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not needed for somebody like to build stuff, right? So it's like it's there in the background. So
Yeah. You
if
understand,
yeah, for nerds out there who wants to read about stuff, like even the
yeah,
skills that has been created right now, you can read and understand if it is
how
what
it
it
is.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's useful. Like so if you edit stuff, you can come here and get it working. But yeah, so that's like the other point about
Great.
skills. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the email assistant one.
Yeah.
Like the tone. I think the self-learning stuff is very important because this is very generic, right? Like, what does it mean to be warm and professional? What does it mean to be concise? Like, that's not very specific. But the moment you actually feed examples of what that means to you, kind of learns better.
Yeah, you see some of these examples, like, yeah, see, you have these examples from your conversations that's been stored here. So we quite
Yeah,
useful.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think skills has been like a really big a game changer for me.
Yeah, I see that. Like, yeah, so skills are super powerful. The other point is like the skills can be transferred across like beyond Claude as well, like even to like Open Claude message and beyond
Yeah,
that, given that these are like just like README files, like
yeah.
structured folders. So quite useful. But yeah, it's quite cool. Um, yeah, I think anything else you want to touch upon, Kavi? Like anything that you found interesting?
I think this is like one of the big things that I was really interested in, like to share about the voice and things like that. I think the follow-up piece was like the newest routine, like I added into the email assistant. So you can see like it's taken a month for me to get to where it's actually working for me.
Hmm.
So here what happened was now when an email comes in and Claude recognizes that this is a kind of email that would require follow-up,
Yeah.
it'll add this label, like in emails, in Gmail, you have the labeling. So it adds a label called follow-up.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, with Claude, like even like local sort of like sorting of documents and files and emails like has been like a game changer. I
Yeah.
agree. And this is
Like
like real example, right? Because like if you look at like these kind of like tutorials, etc., it's just like one shot examples, but in reality you have to like work with it for a bit to actually see like
understand.
and also it needs continuous like maintenance, like so
Yeah.
like the any kind of agent doesn't have to be a cloud agent, but any kind of agent you need like a lot of care and sort of adjustments and
Yeah.
a really good example. This is what I've seen across as well. Like there's no like
Exactly. You
exception.
have to put the effort.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
I think this is what I've seen in people, even at Tilly, like people who thrive in a world of AI. It's not about age. Like we've had people who are kind of in their 50s who have come in who haven't used AI before, but they already have a very organized process to the way they work.
Yeah,
And they're very patient. They pay a lot of attention to detail, and you can see them ramping up with things like Claude super fast, even
yeah,
compared to kind of young people. So it's not even an age thing really.
yeah.
And this is why when people are like, oh, like AI is going to replace people, I think it's really there's a certain kind of people that AI will replace.
Yeah. Let's not talk about them publicly, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like,
So yeah, and I think I've seen so many people like really thrive with it.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
that's it. Yeah. And like one point, like, do you have thoughts on like managing costs? Like, because with Claude, like one of the biggest
yeah,
issues, like it's gonna like run out like super fast.
yeah,
Are there any guidelines, ways that you have adjusted yourself or the team
yeah,
to help with that side?
yeah. So I think with us, we have a separate account for Tilly, and I have my personal. So this is all run in my personal. So personally, yes, like I spend $100 every month.
Yeah.
So I think that was like a give or take of me having to look at my week, look at my month, and really understand where is this money going to and how much is it saving for me. So
Mm,
I think now looking at this, if I was to hire an EA
mm,
and looking at the cost around that, like that's how I think about the costing piece of it. But I think for me, the only like AI tools I use is the things I pay for is Whisper.
mm,
I play Claude,
yeah.
and my kind of Google like NotebookLM stuff is paid for by my like cloud.
Yeah.
So those are the only three things I pay for.
Okay.
So I'm
Gotcha.
very careful with, I always do a free trial. I organize the process firstly before I just bring in a tool.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing to managing costs. Like I think just paying an AI tool is not going to solve problems for you
Yeah.
unless your work is organized.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Amazing. Cool. You mentioned about Notebook LM. I would love to like
Yes.
understand what it is and like and how you use it and yeah, especially for somebody who doesn't know what it is.
Yeah. So Notebook LM, I think of it as really, especially if you're a researcher, or if you're just somebody who's very curious about learning new things and organizing your knowledge. I think of Notebook LM as like my brain in my kind of digital brain.
Yeah.
So for folks who might not be familiar, NotebookLM is basically, they keep changing the logo, but it's the black logo with like a blue icon. And it's obviously it's linked to your Gmail account. So you can just open any Gmail account. If you already have it, you would have access to NotebookLM. Um, how it's structured is the basic structure is a notebook. So
Mm.
think of it as when you went to school, you have a book for chemistry, you will have a book for biology. This is a physical version of that.
Mm.
And all you do is you go in and create a notebook. And the interesting thing here is you can add up to 100 sources.
Wow.
This could be research articles, it could be websites, you could pull up things from your Drive folder, copy text, different kind of context. And it helps to aggregate different sources of information.
Just
And then it helps you put it out as different types of output. So you can make a podcast out of it and so on. So maybe I'll show like an actual one I've designed or
yeah,
like
that'd be quite cool.
curated. So this is very helpful for me when I'm writing papers.
Mm.
Because typically you have about 100 plus articles, research papers you're reading when you're writing a paper. Typically it's more than 100, but this can only take 100. So this was a recent paper I wrote about executive functioning. And
Mhm.
what I did was I looked at my lit review and I picked like the most important 100 papers that was relevant to my work. So this is what you see here. So you can see it has reached my source limit because there's 100 papers here.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is it allows you to ask questions from this entire resource set.
Yeah.
And you can also select which ones you want. So let's say, oh, I want to actually just look at these 3 papers. You can select which sources you actually want to question.
Interesting.
Um, and the interesting thing is the outputs.
Mm.
So for example, if I want to ask a question, I could be like, uh, what papers talk about parent and teachers disagreeing on children's working memory? Wow, that is not how you type disagreeing, but
Oh, that's I think like Gemini is smart enough to figure it out, I guess.
understand.
Yeah.
So it's really nice because with papers, one of the biggest things is finding certain points, and you want to find. So now here I want to see what are the papers where parents and teachers, rate children differently for working memory. And now it's going to scan all of my papers for this disagreement, and it's going to pull up the paper. It's going to tell me exactly where it's found so I can view the source. Um, and now it's kind of screening the actual papers I need to dig deeper into. Um, so this is what I love. And I really like the outputs. For example, you can kind of make an infographic. Um, I don't particularly like the design sometimes. I rather make my own. Um, but I really like sort of mind maps.
Yeah.
Because when you're writing a paper, it's always nice to get like a lay of the land. Um, and this is something I really like. So this is all about assessments. So
Hmm.
now I get like a very clear table of all the different measures used in these 100 papers.
Gotcha.
So it's very good at doing this type of synthesis. So here I get kind of the instrument, where it was used and all of that. And I've heard from friends as well that the videos it makes is really good.
Oh yeah.
Just looked at a
Like it's
Yeah.
the design is also really nice.
puzzles, but it's super artificial.
So yeah, so this is really kind of my digital brain / how I organize what I learn. And
Wow, that's amazing. But interesting though, like with the 100 paper limit, like do you see any issues with that? Like like
yeah,
manage around that?
yeah, I think it's mostly an issue if you're like a researcher and
Yeah.
you are writing a paper. I think the big edge case I see.
Yeah, I think like if you're writing a thesis, I think like because obviously
Right.
you have like maybe 1,000 plus
Yeah.
like citations, like yeah. So
Yeah.
you don't want to like limit. Maybe a paper you might get away with like 100.
Paper is fine. So
Yeah,
I think my little hack is obviously all of these contribute to my dissertation, but you'll see like, oh, my executive functions paper is here, but things about self-regulation is kept in this.
I
And
gotcha.
then also for every class I've taken at Stanford ever, there's a notebook.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is kind of every single class I've taken has a notebook.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. Yeah, I think these should be published and some like whenever you finished, like be
yeah,
quite
of my process.
yeah, it'd be quite interesting. Yeah, and like
Um,
another thing I've seen people like is like whenever they like want to like learn like a difficult subject, like they'll
yeah,
like like a deep research on this, and
yeah.
after they'll create like a quick podcast and then put it on your like yeah, like on
Mhm.
your phone and then start like listening to that. Like I've
Listening to
seen
it.
a lot of people do that, like especially if they want to like go through a bunch of like yeah, new concepts that they're learning. Could be quite
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, I guess like is this free by the way? I remember like it used to be free. Is it still free or do you?
That's actually a good question. I think if you have like a university email, it is free,
Okay,
but to a certain limit, people can use it. But I don't know if that 100 limit applies. Maybe it's a little lesser if you don't have a
I hear you.
account, but anybody can use it.
Okay,
But there are definitely limits on how many sources you can add in and things like that.
okay. Yeah, this is something like especially like PhD students, researchers should leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless like if somebody's listening in, like do check it out. I highly recommend it because I think like it's gonna like reduce a lot of time spent on like finding
Yeah,
sources, evaluating, like which used to be like a manual effort in the past. And
exactly.
yeah, so it's quite cool. But yeah,
Yeah, I think when you're also beginning to write a paper and you're not too sure about it now, like for example, I'm thinking of writing a paper about screen time. So whenever now I'm finding a paper, I like quickly send it here or article, so that I don't forget.
understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but I really like these two tools.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I mean, highly appreciate the time, Kavi. I
Of
think like
course.
whoever listening in would really benefit from this stuff. I learned a lot as well, like how to like use this tool in a practical way. So it's quite yeah, I'm like highly inspired like with what you showed right now. And yeah, I think like I'll sort of like leave in the description like some of the tools that we use today.